What's up, my beautiful people? Exile451 here with yet another daily dose of Reddit Happy. Going back into r/self-improvement today, so let's get to it. Our first post comes from user Sticky Sweet as Thai Treat. When just get started feels like just do this impossibly difficult thing that you've been bashing your head into the invisible wall trying to do for a long time now. If you're in a cycle of trying, failing, beating yourself up, trying to try harder, feeling like deer in the headlights, starting to try again, I wrote this for you. I hope this perspective can help someone, especially if you've been stuck trying to get going on some self-improvement goals. If people keep saying to you, just need to start, just take that first step, and it isn't helping you, there's nothing wrong with you. I was 210 pounds when I first started training aerial arts. Literally obese for my height, 5'4". I had to go through a few coaches who weren't just willing to work with me, but also understood where I was starting from so that they could work with me. Someone who didn't say patronizing stuff like, just do a pull-up and then go from there. Just start by hauling your butt over your head while you're hanging from your arms. Just grab your foot behind your head and then you'll be done. I'm sitting here like, are you freaking serious? How is that a just? I couldn't even hang for more than 10 seconds, do a full set of sit-ups, hold a plank, etc. It made me feel like I was lacking. I mean, I already did feel like I was lacking, so hearing that just only proved my beliefs. Like, frick, that's how far I am. Ugh. Just can be so condescending. Sure, that kind of encouragement works for some people, but what if you're in the camp that it doesn't help? You only need to hear it a few times to know it's not changing anything for you. Just get started. Just take that first step. It might as well be, have you tried trying? I get that you're trying to help, but it's not helping. Thanks for trying. I know you mean well. I mean, if just get started worked, you wouldn't be stuck here anymore. First off, know that just does not speak to where you're at. We all start somewhere, and that's that. There are no more extrapolations to be made from that. The just does speak to the person's inability to grasp the distance that you're getting ready to cross. It's not necessarily their fault though. Sometimes things just don't work out together. Sometimes perspectives clash. There's a difference between too attached to your comfort zone and playing it safe in a tough situation. Sometimes people say you don't want to change because you're too attached to your comfort zone. That's just like the issue with just. Comfort is relative. Let's say you're out gambling. You've lost a bunch at this point. You have a little bit left, barely enough to cover the ride home. Do you stay and try your luck? Do you call it good and head home? That's a hard call to make. Now, what if it's not your ride home that's at stake? What if it's your pet or a family heirloom or the one thing that your job hinges on? That's an even harder call to make. You'd probably be more conservative because there's more to lose. It's safer to keep this thing than to potentially lose it all. What if, instead of your ride home or pet or heirloom, it's yourself? I don't even need to ask. I know you're going to take the safe option. I took the safe option when this choice was in my face. I fully believe we are biologically wired to take what we believe is the safest, lowest risk option. We might not understand all of our inclinations, but our brains are always running simulations in the background. Testing theories, scanning the environment for danger, it's the job of your nervous system to watch out for you. After all, if a car swerves at you, you jump aside before you realize it. If someone makes a loud noise, you startle by reflex. If someone throws something at you, you flinch. When you're already in a compromised position, weighing the pros and cons has more weight to it, because there's more at stake. Going from a 10 to a 7 means you're still above the midpoint. It isn't nearly as bad as going from a 5 to a 2. These choices we're faced with can feel like you're being forced to gamble with the highest stakes that matter to you. Being in this position takes its toll. You're not lazy for being stuck here. In the muffled distance, you know you need to make the gamble at some point because you do want to come out that end badly. But that risk is still there. You could lose what little you have left. If you're in that headspace, there's a good chance you're paralyzed in that indecision. It's less, I'm too comfy in my comfort zone, wah! And more, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to be even worse off, and this is terrible enough. Totally understandable to be frozen because you're choosing between two crappy things. And how long can you fight in place until you're running on fumes? Maybe you already are. People might look at you and say you're being lazy or just not trying hard enough. Maybe that's true, or maybe it just looks like that to outsiders. Maybe you're fighting exhaustion, numbness, fear. It might as well be quicksand. People don't usually see this part of the struggle because they don't want to or they can't. Over time, you learn to be quiet. Maybe you shut yourself away even from yourself. How can you even begin to fight back? What else is there if it's not just get started? So that's it? You just have to suck it up and take the plunge? Some people think so. I used to. Until one day, that didn't work out my way. I got help and I learned another way. You can't change the reality of your situation, but you can change your approach. I think modern day society has built up this idea of go big or go home, get some skin in the game, take the plunge, rip the band-aid off. It makes us feel like the only way we could possibly bring change is to jump all in. The more terrifying, the crappier the risks, the better. But come on, when was the last time you were able to perform when you were flat out terrified and running on fumes? I'm guessing you've tried the brute strength method, trying to compel yourself one way or another to get your crap done. How many times have you woken up and played the drill sergeant in your head or gone to bed regretting that you failed yourself yet again? If strong isn't working for you anymore, go for smart. If you've been trying this brute force way over and over again and it's not working, what if you tried the opposite way? How can you reframe your next choice so that it isn't a high-stakes gamble? What is the smallest increment you can break down from that goal you want? Think small, not big. What's the one thing you could accomplish in one moment? And don't go by what other people tell you to do. You got this. You are smart, capable of critical thinking. You can figure that out. Something so small that you're going to be like, that's it? That's not bad. Maybe tonight while you're on your third hour of YouTube, the thought might occur to you, I can go without watching this next thing. Maybe tomorrow morning when you're rushing out the door, you might think, I can grab a bar and eat half of it instead of skipping breakfast. Maybe this weekend when you start feeling a bit sleepy, you decide, I'm going to bed. My body is telling me that I'm tired, it's late enough, I'm not going to force myself to stay up. Maybe next week when you're grocery shopping, you realize that you always grab that bag of chips, but you're a tiny bit curious how crispy cucumber slices would go with hummus. This is how you build trust in yourself. If there's trust paving the way, you won't feel like you're taking a huge risk. It's not a gamble anymore, it's growth. But you have to work your way there. You wouldn't put your trust in something that hasn't been tested, right? What if you still make the wrong choice? Let's say you do choose to stay on YouTube. You skip breakfast, you stay up a little more, you get the bag of chips. The thing is, you didn't fail, even if you didn't make the better choice. Why? Because you brought your attention to the break in the road and made a conscious choice instead of retreating back into the flow of passive automation. Even if your conscious choice was, screw it. As long as you recognize that you're making that choice, it still counts. You came up for air. It's the difference between I want A, not B or C, versus it never even occurring to you. Accumulating these conscious moments takes practice, but the good news is that this is the work. When you've accumulated some extra breathing room, maybe you start taking a step that's a tiny bit further out. Just a bit, not so far that it feels like a gamble or that you're questioning your trust in yourself. As you continue this work, you'll get better at figuring out your next step. Trust that making conscious choices means that you're always moving towards your values. When you make a conscious choice, it means that you were engaged. You checked in enough to see what you were actually feeling in the moment instead of going through the motions with eyes and ears shut until that moment passed. Can you see what you can build with this? Each conscious choice is a moment of value you've created. One day, when you look at the sum of all these moments that you've built, you'll see that you've embodied the ideas of exactly who you wanted to be. Wow, that is quite the post. You know, you've got a lot of really good points here, especially about making conscious choices and knowing what it is that you want. No one ever went up to Edmund Hillary and said, just climb Mount Everest, or Bill Gates and said, just make an operating system nearly the entire world uses in a multi-billion-dollar company. Nobody went up to J.R.R. Tolkien and said, just write Lord of the Rings. Great things happen one step at a time. Edmund Hillary had to climb several other smaller mountains first, Bill Gates started coding in a garage, and Tolkien probably had several misfires and thrown away manuscripts before he actually was able to compile Lord of the Rings. Like you said, this all-in approach, this just put everything into it, become the best as fast as you can, it doesn't work. It does take those small steps, those incremental improvements to get to where we want to be, to get to where we can be, to where we're capable of doing things. And in order to do that, we do need to make conscious choices to better ourselves. It's all about perspective. It's all about realizing what it is that we want and what we're willing to give up to get there. You have made just some absolutely incredible progress with what you're trying to do with your life. Really, it's just astounding in how far you seem to have come, and not just with losing weight, but also with your mentality, to the point where you're now able to go on and share your story with others in the hopes that it might inspire them as well. You've definitely given me a lot of things to think about, and I'm sure this can touch many other people as well. Thank you so much for sharing the post, and wherever you're at right now, I really do wish you the best. That was r/self-improvement, and if you want more stories of what people are doing to improve their lives for the better, then go ahead and check out that playlist link in the description below. Now you guys go out there, have a great day, I will see you all tomorrow. Until then, I'm Exile451. Stay beautiful, people.